I see. Big one of it too much.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Solidarity Lowell general meeting for August 27th. This meeting is being recorded. Just a heads up. Guidelines for our virtual meetings. Welcome to our hybrid meeting. Please continue to bear with us. Again, this meeting is being recorded and will be put on our YouTube channel. And by staying in the meeting, you agree to be recorded. To speak when you're in person, please raise your hand. If you're on Zoom, please use the raise hand function or type a star into the chat. The timekeeper is Dee Halzak. Please be mindful of time limits. Stacker is Chris Offerman. Step up, step back. That just means that if you've talked a lot, please step back. If you're not talking, please step forward and contribute. We want to hear everybody's opinions. Assume positive intentions and please speak slowly. I'm always glad for that reminder because I'm very bad at that. Alrighty. Agenda, we're a little behind, but we'll be okay. Brief attendee intros at 5:30 and land acknowledgement. 5:40, just talking about Solidarity Lowell, news and committee updates. 5:50, allied organizations updates. That's anybody who's involved with other groups. They can share a little bit about what's going on. At 6, we'll just talk about our bylaws, which will be very short, I hope. And then at 6:20, our speaker, Greg Pappas, the director of elections of the City of Lowell, will be speaking. We'll wrap up around 6:55. Okay, so we'll start with introductions. Please introduce yourself, your name, your pronouns, where you live, and if you could attend a summer camp, what kind would it be? So let me start with, I guess I'll start with the folks in person. Amy, why don't you go first?
Amy Baranowski, pronouns are she, her. Live in the Acre, and I'm all about crafts. So if I could do a summer camp for adults, I would be all about the arts and crafts.
Great. Ryan?
My pronouns are he, his. My name is Ryan Hammond. I also live in the Acre with Amy Baranowski. I'm on the coordinating committee. And if I could do a summer camp about any subject, it would probably have to be one where we go canoeing and then we write at the end of the day about, you know, what we experienced, what we were thinking about.
Nice. Joe?
Hi, I am Joe Boyle, he, him. I live in the Lowell Highlands. I'm on the Solidarity Lowell Coordinating Committee. Boy, I'd like to go to one of those adult summer camps where you like identify the edible species and the mushrooms and plants and stuff, and then you cook them.
Yes.
That would be awesome. That would be a blast.
Dee?
Dee Halzak, she, her. I live in the Acre. I'm a member of the coordinating committee. And my ideal summer camp would be some chair yoga and some talking about how to improve democracy.
Nice. Greg?
Greg Pappas, well, born in South Lowell. And never thought about summer camp because working for elected officials my whole life. Never had a summer off for 20 years. Or nights for that matter, but and here we are here.
Okay, Chris Apperman, downtown Lowell, she, her, hers. Summer camp about genealogy.
Nice. Okay, Susie?
Good afternoon. My name is Susie Chun. My pronoun is she, her. I live in South Lowell. Someone just hit the nail on the head with the ideal summer camp about democracy. That's something I would join too. Also, the other one that I would actually look into is just a camp that helps promote youth involvement with the politics. So that's something, that's my ideal camp. Thank you.
John?
John Grossman, he, him. I live in the edge of Pawtucketville on the river. I actually go to a summer camp every year. It fits some of the description of what's been mentioned here. It's a beautiful spot in New Hampshire where they you can hike and relax, and they have programs on social justice. It's called the World Fellowship Center. Despite the name, it's not Christian. And I put the link in the chat. I highly recommend you all check it out.
Linda?
Oh, hi. I'm on an iPad. I'm not certain how this works.
We hear you.
We can hear you. Just introduce yourself, and then if you could attend a summer camp for adults, what would it be?
My name is Linda. My pronouns are she and her. I live in downtown Lowell, and if I could attend a summer camp for adults, I think I would like to go to Kripalu up in the Berkshires and have some yoga and spa and good food and music.
Yes, awesome. And I am Marissa DuPont. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I live in South Lowell. And if I could attend a summer camp for adults, it would be about letterboxing, which is a fun hobby where you carve stamps and then hide them in Tupperware in the woods and then write clues and people go find them. It's awesome. Okay. Just a land acknowledgement here on 10 Arlington Street where we are in person. We stand on the land of the following nations: Wabanaki, the Dawnland Confederacy, Pennacook, Pentucket, Pawtucket, Agawam, and that's from nativeland.ca. Okay, so just a little bit about us. Solidarity Lowell is a volunteer-based group of community members of Greater Lowell working towards social justice by defending the human rights, dignity, and equality of all persons against hate and discrimination. We welcome new members. The coordinating committee is your elected team of volunteers running the meetings, organizing events, disseminating relevant news, and sharing calls to action. Coordinating committee members, raise your hands. Coordinating committee elections were held in April, but if you're interested in joining, please contact us after the meeting to learn more. And we are a chapter of Progressive Massachusetts, which is a statewide member-driven grassroots organization committed to fighting for a vision of shared prosperity, racial and social justice, good government, and environmental sustainability in Massachusetts. You can visit their website to learn more. Okay, so some victories. We'd like to share some positive news here. Oh, someone's in the chat. What does it say? Oh, thanks, John. Okay, so the Massachusetts legislature. Oh, Susie has her hand up.
No,
You're cutting out. Can you say that
I'm
again?
sorry.
There you go.
So I will add on to something that happened recently in Lowell.
Cutting out again. We'll come back to you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Okay. Try one more time.
Sorry, I'm about to be on the road. Sorry. So what I'm going to add, once you're done, Marissa, I will add on to the victories that happened in the city of Lowell.
Yep, feel free.
He's muted. You're muted, Susie.
Susie, you're muted. There you go.
All right.
No.
So, talk about that you have. Can you hear me?
We can, but you're still cutting out. Why don't I read these and then we'll come back to you. Maybe you'll have a better signal.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. All right, so the Massachusetts legislature and Governor Healy passed a budget including universal free school meals paid from revenue raised by the Fair Share Amendment. Ohio voters defeated question 1 on the August ballot, which was an attempt led by Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose to raise the passage threshold to 60% and functionally lock out ballot initiatives as a means of change. One to restore abortion rights is expected in November. Yusef Salam, one of the Central Park, formerly known as the Central Park Five, won a city council primary on June 27th and is expected to win the seat in November.
Yay.
Okay, so Susie, do you want to try again? Maybe you get a better signal now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, very clear.
Better?
Yes.
Go.
Yes, well, on behalf of the Cambodian community, just recently, the Solidarity members partake in the rally that we did in the against the current regime in Cambodia. It was very successful, and I would like to personally thank you on behalf of the Cambodian community and also the community that are advocating for democracy, human rights, not just here but abroad. And I just want to relay that message and thank you guys for being part of that, supportive and in solidarity with the Cambodian community.
You're very welcome. We're always happy to support you.
And there's a couple bills that I'm going to add into the chat because I'm going to be on the road. So I'm going to add to the chat. And on behalf of, again, the pro-democracy movement, the Cambodian diaspora, we ask for all your support to send to our state legislator and our representative to support the bills that I am going to put the link in, okay?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything positive that they'd like to share, any positive news?
Marissa?
Yep.
I'm not sure it would qualify as a victory, but I think it's a little piece of good news. I managed to find a treasurer for Stacey Thompson's campaign, and it is Selah Chuk, who has previously worked on Tara's campaign, and I believe she was involved with Young's campaign last time. And a strong basis in the Cambodian democracy movement. Awesome. And now she's going to be working with Stacey, and it's always good to introduce your friends to each other.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Anyone else? Positive news?
Well, it's not strictly within the realm of the public sphere. The victory of the UPS workers in the recent vote, which is still not officially certified, but it looks most likely that it is going to, will remarkably increase not only the wages, but the working conditions of those workers, which is particularly important because many of the most vulnerable people who work for UPS were experiencing serious health risks with regards to temperatures that ranged well into hundreds of degrees in the American Southwest. A couple of UPS employees actually died because the company was demanding that they work in these horribly unsafe conditions. And at least now some of the workers have at least slightly improved livelihoods. Yeah.
Anyone else? Positive news? Okay. Moving on. The elections committee, Dee, do you want to do that?
So we're meeting this Wednesday online. The link was in the last RRT newsletter. It will be in the next one. And we will be finalizing our questionnaire going out to candidates who would like to have our endorsement.
Great. Yeah, and if you want additional information, you can email d@solidaritylowell.com. Okay, Merrimack Valley Interfaith Sanctuary Network. I am the volunteer coordinator for Solidarity Lowell for the Sanctuary Network. We are looking for support for our asylum seekers that we assist. Lillian is an asylum seeker from the Dominican Republic, and she is settling into her new apartment, but is still in need of donations, supplies, and clothing for a 1-year-old girl. Donations can be sent to me, who I will then pass them along to her. There's my Cash App and Venmo. For checks or cash donations or gift cards, just email me, marissa@solidaritylowell.com, and we can coordinate drop off. We also assist a gentleman named Marius. He is an asylum seeker from Togo who we assisted since we've assisted since 2018. He is also in need of assistance, and donations can be made to him at his GoFundMe, and that's the link right there. The Unpacking Whiteness Dialogue group is another thing that we organize. Individuals committed to exploring their own racial biases are invited to participate. Engage in supportive, structured dialogues to explore whiteness in contemporary society, especially to better understand the legacy and impact of white supremacy, white privilege, explicit and implicit bias, systemic racism, and microaggressions. It's 5 sessions and it's capped at 10 people. And after you attend that, you are invited to join the ongoing group, which meets once a month and alternates between discussing a book or watching a film. We're currently reading a book called Everything You Know About Indians is Wrong, right? You can sign up at bit.ly/UW-signup. Or email me and I can hook you up. All right, LA group updates and announcements. If you're involved with other groups and you want to share what's going on or any events that are coming up, please feel free. Who would like to go first? Anyone?
It's slow, it's August.
John?
There is this big march in New York on the 17th of September. And this march is coinciding with the UN holding a climate summit. And the message of the march is that we have to end using fossil fuels as fast as possible. In case you haven't noticed, that's not happening. So if we want to, although some progress is being made, we're still burning lots of fossil fuels that we shouldn't be burning. And if you feel strongly about it, and if you're free on Sunday the 17th, there's buses that'll get you to New York and back on the same day. It's a $70 round trip ticket, but there are cheaper tickets for those who need them. And I would encourage people to sign up. There's a bus leaving from Alewife. It's possible could be leaving from somewhere closer if we get more signups. I know it's a drag to go to New York all day on a Sunday, but if we get enough people there, it'll send a strong message. So I would encourage people to consider attending. And I'll put the link to sign up in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. Susie?
Thank you for allowing me to speak again. I have a lot to say, but so thank you for having me here. So September 22nd, if you're available, there will be a rally, a mass rally in the UN, because Hunba Night is the now not elected, but been placed into sorry about the noise, I'm on the street. Okay. So Hun San's son is he's gonna go to the UN in New York, and we will have a mass rally. There will be people from around the United States and even Canada will attend this mass rally, that we are not accepting the position of the new current Prime Minister in Cambodia. So just to keep, and I will send some more information to Marissa or Joe or anyone in the that are members to the Solidarity. I will send you guys further information. But so keep September 22nd on your calendar if you would like to come and stand with us. There will be a mass rally. Hun Manait will be here in the United States, and he is the son of the current prime minister in Cambodia, who is a dictator. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Chris?
Maybe a tiny little bit off topic, but since we are also kind of allied with Lila, and I usually attend the Lila meetings, and one of the things that has continually bothered me about the city council meetings is the prayer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
To my mind, if it was up to me, there would be no prayer.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think we can go to no prayer, but I brought it up in Lila, and the executive committee voted in the upcoming meeting to make this a topic of discussion. The original change from the, whatever you call it, Our Father prayer to the current version of the prayer was at the time done in conjunction with Lila. They came forward. One of the former members, who is, I think she passed away meanwhile, but she was a Catholic nun, and she was the one that initiated saying, no, we shouldn't be saying the Our Father prayer in city council. So Lila designed the current as it is. However, it has been a little bit, the wording hasn't changed, but the way it's being said with several of the city council members, and I'm sure without the intent, just out of habit, making a sign of the cross, including the mayor when he's standing up front and representing the city and making the sign of the cross, it bothers me.
Yeah.
So Lila has agreed to take that topic up again in our upcoming meeting in September and discuss what our next proposal will be and how we're going to react to it. So stay tuned.
Dee?
I just wanted to say that the information on signing up for the climate march in New York has been in the RRT and will continue to be. And I encourage Susie to send me stuff on the September 22nd march as well.
I'm sorry, I hear my name, but I'm not quite sure what's the question. I'm
Yeah,
having a
it's
time
hard to
hearing.
hear you, Dee,
Um,
for us folks on Zoom.
Dee just mentioned that she has promoted the climate march in the rapid response update, our weekly email. And Susie, could you please send that information to Dee? It's DEE@solidaritylowell.com, and she'll include that in the next one.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. So this is, like I said, this is a pretty minor thing. Every year we review our bylaws just to, keep them updated. The only change that we've decided to make this time is on item 6.2. The members will vote. It used to say by secret ballot or online. We're just removing by secret ballot because it's much easier for us to figure out who is a voting member and just email them. Then it just feels a little bit less exclusive when we do it that way, because if you're doing it in person and you're handing out ballots to 5 people and the other 4 sitting there going, why didn't I get a ballot? It just feels rude. So we're just gonna remove those 3 words, and voting will be conducted online going forward. Anyone have any questions? Okay, we'll consider that accepted. All right, so our featured speaker, Greg Pappas, who is the Director of Elections for the City of Lowell. The Election Commission is responsible for managing and conducting all municipal, state, and federal elections within the City of Lowell from start to finish. So, Greg.
I'm not sure what you wanted me to speak about today, but if you had questions, I mean, there's one thing I want to get out is that a lot of people, Susie knows, a lot of people don't realize there's no city preliminary this year.
Right.
Which doesn't seem to be reaching out to everybody because the communications aren't out there anymore. The sun's not what it was, and CAP's not what it was. But I'm getting poll workers who are coming in thinking they work at home, thinking this is the primary in September. But other than that, I just open up the questions because I don't know what else I can tell you. One new thing I can tell you, I can say this. We did get 2 more employees the other night, which puts Lowell the 5th largest city in the Commonwealth, staff-wise, and put us from 3 people dead last to about halfway through the population scale in Massachusetts. So the reality is we're probably about 150 now, but most communities have many more than us election staff. And that's been the problem from the last 25 or 30 years. I watched it from the Secretary's office in Boston. I lived for Galvin for 27 years, in the State House for 40. And could never figure out why and how they actually made it to all the elections. Now I know how they made it to all the elections. People weren't doing all the things they were supposed to do. A lot of statutory violations and stuff. Like we're not going to talk about those now because I don't want to get any more people in trouble. But it's not good. If it happens in the future, they're going to come down on the city. They're going to come down on. It's not good. So now we're fixing it. I think the manager Golden's been very good. He's helped out. So that's gonna help us out. Plus we got new voting machines, which are gonna help out. Those were ones we had from 1990 with 85 technology, and the new ones we have now should speed up at the polls. So you don't have to deliver ballots to polling places. We're gonna be doing the ones in the house. In-house are gonna be voted, they're gonna be put through a machine in the building, in the election department.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so like last election, we had 12,000 just in the primary alone, which normally you would have had probably 2,000. So you see why you need more people now, as a mail-in voting. We'll be able to vote those in the office with observers. You guys won't have to do it, plus they're bigger boxes. So you're probably not gonna have to unload them at all.
Yeah.
They're pulled up at 3,000 ballots, whereas the other ones you had to unload, one vote every 500 or something.
As a little bit of background for people in Massachusetts, and it turns out Massachusetts is in a lot of ways, our democracy is kind of behind a lot of other states. for example, mail-in ballots, the way that mail-in ballots were handled here in Massachusetts is they all piled up in the elections office. And then on election day, they brought them out to the polling stations, and the poll workers there who are dealing with the voters and everybody coming in needed to find some time to also try to process all of these mail-in ballots over the course of the day. Being able to actually take care of them in the office makes so much more sense.
Right, and it also.
Especially now that mail-in has gotten so much bigger.
It's gonna get bigger and bigger. It's about 45% now, it's gonna get bigger and bigger. And, and it's not just it's processing them to get them out and processing them to get them back. And now the city election is more complicated because you used to have one ballot. Now you have 8 with 4 different combinations, which is not a good thing. So you can't make any mistakes, make sure the ballots, they can't go to the wrong polling places or to the wrong households when you mail them. So, the extra staff people will help out, trying to find some people to go to the state VRIS system, because that's become so complicated. It came out just when I started with Billy, when we took over Secretary's office in '95. We got it just after that. The state system is very, very complicated. So it's hard to bring people in and train them. I have a young lady who's been there almost a year now, and she's still having difficulty with it. Shannon left, Shannon.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is Shannon one of the 2 people? Did you
Yep.
get her back?
Nope, I can't. She went to, she left because she said they offer a lot more money in Winchester for a lot easier job in the town. And the bottom line was what it came down to was, she's not going to another presidential. It was outrageous. It was $30,000 to get out between 3 or 4 people. And you could try and bring other people in. We had other people who said, well, come in, but you couldn't, to explain to them how to put the stickers on and which ones have to go the right way, or what order you have to keep them in, so they can go to the right polling place. Sometimes becomes a detriment if they start making mistakes, so hopefully this will be a big improvement. And there'll be there's 2 trainings a month that Galvin does online that they haven't been doing, they will be able to do. There's two with the Commonwealth that there's one down at Cape every year, one at Fort Devens that the state does with the clerks and the statewide election commission people, associations, which they have not been going to. I don't need to go to them because I've been doing it for so long, but the staff does. So we'll get them back to that. Hopefully, the promise I made Tom, I was going to retire in 22, and I was all done at the State House. Hopefully the 3 years I'll be able to just do it in 3. And for a while I think I'm just going to do it in 2 and that's it. But now we got the 2 people in the machine, so I'm willing to keep my commitment for another 2 years. But we're going to have to find more people with elections. But they've created such a thing with elections over the last 25 years. It's so specific that even the gentleman that did this before me, who was an attorney, he had no idea what election law was. He did the best he could. He just didn't know what he was not doing, because there's no way to know what you're not doing unless you work like I did in the state office, where you know the statutory things every month.
It's almost like you need to like an apprentice system. You have the people who have the knowledge, and you need to spend your life learning until you become a master.
It's crazy, but that's what it is. Ask the town clerks to do it, and the city clerks. It's in the city elections.
So much to know.
There's so much to know, and every year something. Like for instance, this year a new law came out, something minor, but yet a lot of clerks I was talking to, some they didn't know. They on the back of the notifications come from the registry every morning. The 5 agencies that register you to vote, whether you want to be registered or not. That was a law that came out this year. A couple of years ago, rather. People don't realize, but every time you go to the registry, you get registered to vote, whether you want to be or not.
Susie and I came across that.
Yeah. So what happens is we get all these duplicates in the morning, so we have to process. Now we're up to we were going from 40 to about 150 to 300 a day. Well, so that's something we have to process too while we're doing other stuff. And sometimes we fall behind. That's up to 4,000 or 5,000. We can't keep up with it. But when the back of that form you get now, you're going to see on the backside is a vote by mail application, which is simple little thing like that is a statutory requirement. And a lot of clerks didn't know that. I've been talking to some. Oh, we didn't know. Because it came on. It was just it's not something everybody knows. Or the vote by, or the agency making you vote. And we're getting a lot of phone calls from people involved, probably about 30 a week, from people that don't want to be registered to vote because they don't want to be on the jury system. And that's what it is. So I didn't ask this take the office. Oh, here's the story. They really don't even want to talk about it. So we're going to listen, because it's going to happen to you again. It's got nothing to do with me. Your legislature voted for this. The governor signed it. every 2 years, when you go to the registry for your sticker or for your license, you're gonna be registered to vote again. Well, I have no say in it. So I want you to understand the truth of it, so you can put the argument where you need to go. But that's the reality. But I can unregister you, but I can't do it over the phone. You have to fill out this form. So other than that, those things will continue, but like you're saying, it's almost becoming closed in the practice mode. You know, it's getting more and more complicated, and then we'll continue to, and then there'll be more and more mail-in stuff. To the point eventually, I don't know, if polling places at some point will be. I mean, we only survived the thing in Lowell with the polling locations, the amount of staff people, you know why? The manager allowed me to up it by $100. So we went from 100, and what was it, 198 to 200, 298 or something, 107, it was 180 to 280, plus the $20, right? And that's the only reason why we were able to do it. We got kids from Lowell High School. If not, we were gonna be short people. And if we're short people, technically the poll can't be open. You have to have 6 people by law, you know.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
Getting enough people.
We do now, we did the last time, and we will now. But the thing is, here's another scenario too, is a lot of people don't, including clerks, don't realize by state law, you're supposed to have, the 6 people are supposed to have a mix of party people and unenrolled people. You can't do that. It's impossible.
We have a couple of questions.
Impossible.
Susie, I think you were first.
Susan, I see her.
Hi, I'm sorry. I am on the road. I'm sorry, guys. My question is, Greg, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. My question would be, when is the deadline to register people to vote? I don't know if you answered that, if you already put that in, but so for me, having when I'm canvassing, so people who have not registered to vote, I've registered them to vote. So when is the deadline for that?
But remember I gave you a calendar, Susie? It's on for the city election. It's on the city calendar. I'm gonna pull it up now in the package I gave you.
Okay.
But I'm gonna pull it out. It's usually I think it's the Friday before, but it's November now, because December there's no preliminary, so let me find the calendar here, so. Here we go, candidates. Here's our calendar. Oh yeah, okay, so we're going past, September doesn't happen at all, so. Last deadline, go from mail, last day to register to vote in the municipal election for November is October 28th, which is a Saturday. So 5 p.m. So we will be open all day Saturday, like we did the last time. You and I talked about this. We had the things on the windows, and we had people at the doors, make sure people could get on Saturday. And Jimmy had the hall opened up for us. So that will be the same thing here on Saturday, 28th, it'll be the Saturday before the election.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. School thing one.
All right, Linda, do you have a question?
Smart, yeah, smart lady.
Yes, I do. Hi, Greg. It's nice seeing you.
How are you?
And I guess I will see you on Monday when I turn in my questionnaire.
There you go.
Never like, but sorry. My question is, and this came up in a discussion with a friend. They were wondering, they have registered Democrats, but they would like to change their registration this year and then change it back. Are they able to do that?
Is this somebody running for office or somebody that's just voting?
They're just voting.
Yeah, you can change, sure. You can change, yeah, as long as it's not somebody running for office, there's certain things, party to party, non-party to party, but just the individual, sure. You could do it online I always point to the Secretary of Government's website. You could do it right online or download a form on our website and they can mail it in or they can walk it in or, yeah, they can do that.
So how many times can you change your registration during the year?
I'm crazy. But you don't want to do that if you're running for office.
No, they're not running for office, but
certain specific, depending on the office and the state constitution, may require you, like state representative, to be a member of a party 1 year prior to. And if you change, there's all those rules, but I don't want to confuse you. Like, I keep deferring to Joe because Joe's works with us, like, you know what I'm talking about too. But they can come, they can do that whenever they want, sure, yeah, and just right up until the deadline, which is usually always the weekend before an election.
So if I wanted to come in before the primary next year and change my registration and then change it again before the election in November, I can do that?
Yeah, just as long as you hit, like I said, the deadline for those are gonna be like the weekend before the election, weekend before the primary. I don't have the dates in my head because, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, again, as long as you're not running for office, yeah.
Oh, perfect. I didn't know you could do that. I thought it would mess up the database or the books or.
No, there's a lot of things we can do as American citizens that we don't realize, because we're so used to stuff being taken away from us lately, I don't know. But I see you smiling, you know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, no, there's a lot of things we can do, and that's something that absolutely, that's your constitutional right to do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
One of the, oh, Chris,
Right.
yes.
This is a city conversation I've had with a neighbor who has been being a poll worker for many years. But I don't think she's continuing, and her constant complaint was that the people that are poll workers are very, very poorly trained. They don't know what they're doing there. They're doing things incorrectly. She has been doing it for so long that she had to like see something and go, no, I think it has to be done the other
That's
way.
why we
So
need people like her.
she felt that there was training lacking, that people are totally untrained, that are doing poll workers. What is being done to improve that?
We have training, and we're gonna do 4 this year in September, I think it is, maybe 2 in September and 2 in October. But you know, there's still some people you can train. I mean, there's a lot of people that do this. I mean, I'm gonna be 65, and even I make mistakes, but if somebody sees something, that's what they can call us for. It doesn't, they don't have to be a warden or clerk. They can call us, say, I think that the warden's doing this wrong. We had a person who was a warden, and I'm not gonna say the school because we're gonna know, but it was in Centerville, one of the schools, and he kept doing provisional ballots for everybody. He just had it in his head, and it was logical. But it's the same thing as talking about what's the difference between an absentee ballot and a mail-in ballot? Well, they're both mail-in ballots, and he was just picking that, and we finally got a hold of him and said, no, stop, you're right, you know, we're gonna count those ballots, but, oh, yeah, that's right, you don't do it that way. It clicked with them then. It's complicated. It's just complicated. She comes up with an issue like she thinks something's wrong, call us. I don't care if it's a clerk or a voter, we take the call, yeah.
Okay.
And it's most of the times the warden or the clerk go, oh, yeah, that's right, I just forgot, and then somebody just afraid that, oh, it's this one we do this on, it's, yeah.
Okay.
Am I right? Is it?
There are constantly lots
Yeah.
of rookies who are there for their first time.
Yeah.
And, like I said, you're always learning. You know?
Always learning.
You know, and you do this once a year, so you're also always forgetting.
And
And so
Good point.
it depends on
Yeah.
long-term people
Right.
who have institutional knowledge there. We have to pass it on. They're at the polls to the workers.
And good point, Joe, it's once a year, and 1 year it's city, and then 1 year it's state that have some different things. And then it goes back to city that has some different things, and then it goes back, right? Yeah, see,
Okay.
so we always, we take,
I'll mention that
Absolutely.
to her,
absolutely,
because that
yeah.
was her
Don't be afraid.
complaint why she said
Yep.
she doesn't want to go back.
Yep.
She feels like a lot of people don't know what they're doing. And
Yep.
things are being done incorrectly.
Yep.
It bothered her.
Yeah, okay, no, that's good, let us know. We go through the books later and stuff like
So
that's
who
great.
does she call?
Call, there's the election office that day, calls
Okay,
us, and she can get us or the switchboard people, will put it through or whatever.
okay.
Yeah, and we'll, and if something like that, we'll even, now that we're gonna have hopefully 4, and then we'll go send somebody out there, but we usually get the warden on the phone with that person and say, well, what's going on, what are you doing with this? And sometimes we won't say that Joe called, we just heard there was something and explain to us, and then we do it that way, because I don't wanna put somebody in the spot that they're
Right.
comfortable with, so.
Right.
Right,
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
yeah,
So Ron wasn't able to be here today, and obviously
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. But one of the things that he had mentioned to us was that people are being removed from the voter rolls for some reason, and there's like 40% of people have been removed, and it's gonna be this big thing getting people re-registered. Can you talk about that a little bit?
What it is the state for the last, let me put it this way. I was looking at some of the, like, the dormitories, there were people registered to vote back in 2006, 2005, 2000 that were never inactivated. They should have been taken off the rolls. You have to, the states, they were supposed to, they just never, if you don't vote in 2 straight state elections, you get inactivated. And there's ways to get reactivated. One is signing a nomination paper, registering to vote, which basically does a lot for people anyways. Filling out your census, and that's why the second census card goes out. The second census card tells you right on it, you need to sign this and fill it out so we can update you so that you can vote. But if you look at it, 99% of those people, I would say not 99, I'd say there was a large amount of people who were inactivated because it wasn't done. The state law requires it. Actually, the state system is supposed to take them off themselves, but for some reason, they're in the process of updating it. And I was talking to the director of elections the other day because I used to work with her for years. And that's one of the reasons they're redoing the VRIS system, because it wasn't doing the statutory things it was supposed to do. And what you'll also find out too is if you look at most of the, I'd say 90% of the people that become inactivated, you see they don't vote anyways. The ones that are still active, the ones that have a history, because you can look at a person's history, almost 90% of them can be registered for 20 years and no history, just don't vote. That just happens. Yeah, they just don't. But a lot of people are getting the second card now because here's what happened for the last 2 years. You statutorily have to put out the census. There's a date that I have to do a download on. Again, the gentleman, he had no idea. He just knew it was in the spring, and like I said, I can't blame him. You draw the extract off the system. Those names that go out for the census. We had about 35,000, 40,000 pieces of mail come back that were not deliverable.
Wow.
Yeah. So the second card goes out. Now they did do that 2 years in a row, the last 2 or 3 years. But what they didn't do was do the second mailing. The second mailing is critical because it allows the person the opportunity to re-register to vote or reactivate by signing the census. They didn't know they were supposed to do it. They didn't do it, and they technically violated the law, which was a big no-no. We already did it. Some are gonna overlap because 8 weeks ago they were supposed to go out. And when I went down to the post office to check on the permit because something wasn't happening, that's how I found out they weren't doing them. And the post office canceled the permit. So it took 8 weeks to get the permit reactivated with that extract. And having worked for a congressman myself for several years, I know how hard it is to get things done for the bureaucracy in federal government. So we finally got that through. So some people are gonna get these cards who did send this stuff back. But we just, on Friday before I left, I just got a whole bunch of them, which is good. So the more people send them back, the more they're gonna get reactivated. And then the ones that don't are gonna be the ones that probably just they've moved, passed away. There also was an arrangement where they were getting from the clerk, we're gonna be doing this next year, birth certificates and death certificates every month. So because we just have a huge list of people. It's great to see all these people registered to vote, but half of them, it's a mess, so. But it's not just us, though, it's other communities too, but Lowell has been a mess, I will tell you that, because it's been neglected for several years.
John Grossman has his hand up. John?
Yeah, I'm one of the people that didn't fill out the annual census form. And I got one of those postcards, sent it back, but it caused me to wonder if other family members got one or not. And what happens if somebody doesn't send that postcard back and goes to vote?
So here's what I'm glad you asked that, John. That's the point. Was the thing. So, and again, the census is important because that's how local aid comes to Lowell. When this legislature figures out local aid, they figure it out on population. The census isn't up to date. Guess what? But John, for that point, you're absolutely right. So, say they don't sign a thing, they don't fill out the census, they don't. When they go to vote, they come in. They'll go up to Joe, and Joe will say on the poll pad that you're inactive. So you will have to show an ID and sign a form of continuous residency at that address. And if you do that, Joe will then have you fill it out, and then he'll give you a ballot. You can vote.
Okay.
So,
And when you say the census, you're talking, I mean, there's the federal census, but you're talking about the annual letter that goes out from the city?
there's a state one, every city and town does it every year. Like I said, that's how the legislature determines the amount of money that goes to the cities and towns.
All right.
Yeah, so thank you for doing, I completely forgot, see what I'm saying? He forgets the joke because it's complicated. That's exactly a good point. So that's the worst case scenario. They'll show up. And if they are at that address still, they show an ID, sign, yes, I still live here. Joe looks at it, says that, good, here's your ballot, you all set. And then you give us back that form in the office.
Thank you.
And it's a pretty loose ID requirement too, like a bill. It's not a photo ID, it's not a government ID.
Yeah, you can,
Evidence that you live at that.
yes, yeah, and that photo ID is good if you don't have a bill, a water bill.
Right.
But most people who have it, yeah, and a lot of times when they do show their card, you put it on the poll pad, see how fast it goes through. It's a lot faster processing people, but you're gonna have more time now. Yeah, you're gonna see, you're gonna like the new machines.
So if 40% of our voter registrations were invalid, does that mean our turnout has actually been a lot better than it's been reported for the last few elections?
I don't know, I mean, to me as a kid, most of the turnouts look smaller than they would when I was a kid.
Right, but is that because the percentage is being calculated using all these,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
our turnout's actually better than.
Oh,
the
yeah,
percentages.
yeah, that's, so from that point, I said that to one of the, I had a newspaper calling from Mass, whatchamacallit, statewide, you know. Yes, yes, and I was talking to the reporter, I said, look, first of all, Lowell only had one state rep race. There were 2 districts in Lowell that didn't have a state rep race. All the towns had state rep races around. From my experience as a kid, when I worked at the State House, when you ran a statewide office, a person, like when I worked for Bob Crane, the treasurer, when we ran statewide, where did we go? We went to the places where the state rep races were, because we knew there was a 20% bigger turnout. You had a state senate race in there, now you got a 30% bigger turnout. You just have a state senate race, it might be a 10% better. Reps bring out the bigger, the smaller the office, because more people know their reps. So we didn't, but you're right. I said, well, there's also another reason. You got almost 100% of the people registered to vote that don't want to be registered to vote versus the turnout, when normally there would probably, instead of 72,000, be like 55,000 regular voters, the percentage would be much higher, which is the true, and now you should be happy with the work that's being done. Because you got that all over the country. A lot of people don't want to do it, changes everything. So I tell everybody that goes out and does this work, you did a good job, you just don't realize this other thing's working against it, but you, yeah. Excellent job.
That changes. the
Yeah, excellent job. No, Lowell should have like 55, 60,000 normal, not 72. So that percentage of turnout goes up from 29 now to like 40, right? So, you know, big
Better.
difference,
Still
much
not
better.
great, but
Yeah,
better.
yeah, not great, but much better, yeah, yes. Like again, like it was when we were younger, and you remember the turnouts around here, they were huge, but that's what it was. So, yeah. You didn't just figure that out, did you? You were thinking about that for a while, weren't you?
No, yeah,
You-
that
I can
it
tell,
occurred
yeah.
to me before when I saw that. 40%.
Yeah, no, you, yeah, I
It's
can
a
tell.
shocking
Yeah,
number,
yeah,
40%.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
but 40% isn't all about dorms.
No, what it is, but don't forget, this hasn't been done for several years.
So what are some other reasons?
Well, like I said, Lowell really hasn't paid attention to its election department for probably 20 years. At least 20, and I'm not knocking the city
A lot
manager.
of people move.
I mean, a lot of them are friends of mine, I knew them, but they really didn't focus on it, and what I tried, and Tom has, and the manager has, and the thing what the manager understands is that office down there is not a city office, it's state and federal. When something happens, you get the US attorney comes in, you get federal marshals, you don't get the Lowell police and the DA. You know, I've been just quick story, because this is interesting. A couple months ago, the town of Hull, and I've seen everything working for Galvin. I mean, Billy Galvin is, whether you like him or not, is the most brilliant election person I've ever met, but he was an election attorney when we were kids, before he became secretary, when he was a rep, we all hung around. And the thing is this, in Hull, I had talked to, sometimes some of the clerks will still, election will call me if they can't get through the boss because they used to talk to them. It's funny. And I know you don't work anymore, Greg, but I always offer help, And I had just had the clerk from Chicopee. I called boss, I couldn't get a hold of so-and-so. Yeah, no problem. So I talked to the lady, they had a fire that day. Are you familiar with it? You know what I'm gonna say? Oh,
No,
there was a fire going on in the afternoon for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. A fire truck was blocking the street where the polling location was. Now, I said just one polling location, there was 3 or 4 others, but that one polling location. So she said to me, she says, well, we're talking about an option going to the select and getting an emergency meeting and going to us at night. I said, that's good, but I said, but some federal judge might still turn around and say, those people were obstructed from, that wanted to go to it, couldn't go at night. Well, what am I supposed to do? Go down and ask the fire truck to move? I goes, well, yeah. She goes, what? I goes, I would do that. I would take the city town manager, go down and say, can you move the fire truck up the street? If the blaze isn't blowing into the street, if it's just a thing blocking it, and we let people get by and see if we can work this out, well, guess what? She didn't do it, but that's okay, So guess what happened? 2 days later, a federal judge came and said, The whole thing's being done over, so it's gonna cost the town all that money again, out of their pockets, under 25-30,000. For a town that size is big, they had to do the whole thing over again. You can't mess around with people's constitutional rights. One of the things my concern has been with Lowell, and I have a lot of friends that teachers and stuff, we got a lot of school polling places. The teachers do the administrative days of the school, and I'm really concerned, at some point, we had 3 people that were going to report that they couldn't park at certain schools, and they were calling the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston, and if they pressed the issue, I told Tom, we're gonna have to do the whole thing over again, because they're not gonna lose. They're not gonna lose, so I'm trying to find a way to what's where they can do their administrative day somewhere, maybe this new superintendent will listen. At some point, it's gonna happen. Someone will call, someone will press the issue, and someone will go to your attorney, and that will happen. Because you cannot obstruct the person's constitutional rights, even if it's one person. Even one, it's one, which it should be that way. You know, so those little things are funny, but they happen. I've stood at courtrooms with Galvin and watched recounts where a judge actually took out a ruler. And because the coloring, the dot was outside the oval, and measured which one was closest, to just count that for this person. The judge measured it, yeah. By the way, the new machines will pick that up. They're gonna kick the ballot back on, say, Joe, well, not Joe, but they're gonna say, the voter.
How does this machine know my name?
You can program that in.
Everybody knows.
But the new machine will come back and say that the person didn't color in the oval completely. And you'll give them another chance to take a new ballot or whatever. It'll also tell them that they overvoted, whereas normally they just take the overvote and they lose the vote.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back out and it's gonna say the rewards, and you can take them aside. Talk to them while the next voters go through, give them another ballot, and you're gonna see how much, in the ballot speed, 198 a minute compared to 95 a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. So. I'm
So-
expecting a good report from you.
So if folks wanted to volunteer, how would they do that?
Well, there's no volunteering, we pay.
Oh, you do, okay.
Yeah, it's $280 for the day.
Okay.
You attend the meetings, you have to attend the trainings, which we do on a Saturday. Sometimes on a Sunday too. They're $20 for that. It ends up a minimum, most people make the $20 check. I know we out there, the communities around here, the rest of the town clerk, I grew up with her and drank it, she says, now they take a people away from, but it's off election, so it's not the same thing, but forcing us to go up and drink it, you know, but we needed to because it wasn't paying enough. And now we're getting these high school kids who can do it. We're getting a great group of high school kids. You saw some of
You
them.
get them at high school kids,
Yes.
some are gonna stick with it, they're gonna be the ones in 10 years with institutional knowledge.
Not just that, they're gonna be the ones running for office, like we all got hooked in it the same way.
Yes.
They're the ones that get involved and they end up running for council, state rep, senator. And it's really, and they're also the ones with some of them at Raleigh School, there was a line outside, they went outside, showing what polling place they're supposed to be at on their phone. No, go in the line, you don't have to wait this line, go to this one. Yes,
Great.
yeah, so,
Getting on the,
Yeah.
getting on the Secretary of State website using the technology.
yeah, right, exactly. So what you do is just go to our website, Joe will tell you the form's on there. Fill out that form, mail it into the office, and we'll, Kaylee or Yanin, or we'll contact you, or whoever else at the time. So,
Let's say someone is not a morning person, what would the shift look
oh
like?
yeah, no, we can work stuff like that.
Okay, all right.
We have people who plug in because we gotta cover, yeah, it's better for us to have them the whole day, but they get breaks and stuff, but
Okay,
we have things we'll do, some people will do 6 hours. There's a lot of people are older than me. I mean, they're in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
That do it, and they're good.
yeah, they're
You know what I'm saying?
So that's a new thing.
Yeah, we'll break it up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
We're
it's always been only full days.
gonna try and do that because we have to make it better for people to do it, you know?
That was also a thing my neighbor mentioned, that it was a whole day and she couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do, just because we, you know, it's a little more work for the clerk to keep the record. But I don't wanna turn people away that are good.
It's 5:30 to 8:30, 5:30 to 9:30.
Well, don't forget the last one, the primary last year. You guys had to be there at, what, 6:15 in the morning, and we didn't get done till 3:30 the next day. In the morning, remember?
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't-
You walked in, you have a sleep, oh my god, it's 3:00 in the morning, remember taking the gym.
That's enough.
Today was
Eight
time.
at the earliest, I
Yeah.
would say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Very early is like.
yeah, so these machines will make that a lot faster now, so the count will go quicker.
Coherent sentences before.
You're gonna have 40% less ballots,
Exactly.
35%, yeah. And you're not gonna have to worry about people saying, what are they doing? Look at them opening up ballots, right? What are they taking ballots out of the box for, you know what I'm saying? How people just assume stuff's going on, you won't have to do that. So that's what we needed this for. you know. So, they take a lot. The public picks these guys a lot, the ladies.
Oh, I know.
They do, yeah, that's why it's tough, that's why we need to give them something good, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
we appreciate all of them, you know. Okay,
Good. Anything else you think we should know?
oh, just the hope, you guys, like you said, groups, there's a lot of groups in Lowell that are just great at getting the vote out. Letting people know that, you know, there's no preliminary, there's some groups that put out great stuff on the candidates, we can't have anything to do with that, but. And we do have a great, I mean, I look at the selection of candidates, even though we didn't have a preliminary, there's some pretty good people running.
Oh, yeah.
I look at it from, you know, my experience over the years, some pretty good, you know, both incumbents and otherwise. You know? So, I mean, all this work is good. This doesn't happen in a lot of cities. I know, because, you know, I mean, I can tell you the last 4 years, one of the jobs, the secretary, I always had more than 2 with him. Was going to Middlesex County, Worcester County, Essex County. And I was dealing with all the town clerks, the city clerks and stuff, and I would see and meet with a lot of people, and I would know, we don't have, a lot of them don't have groups like we have involved. You'd be surprised how uninvolved like Brockton, Waltham, and even Haverhill, and so don't have the groups we have. There's so many involved. I mean, I pick up the phone half the time and talk to them and say, can you help me out getting this stuff out? And they do it, like voter forms and stuff.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I know you, I don't want to run over, but I just,
No.
it's good to be with you
We
guys.
have
plenty of
plenty of
time.
water registration forms and one, that's what I said, wherever
There
you go.
Good, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
We always have.
John, last question. How much longer is Bill Galvin going to keep running for office? As far as back as my memory goes.
You're running?
There's 2 things I can tell you about him. I met him when I was, the first day I started in the state house, I was 19, and he was 26. I can tell you he was the second person I met up at Tom in the gate. He ended up in this corner of Governor Gregson. I was looking for a rep from this area in Natural Resources. And that's how we've been friends for 8 years. We worked together. I can tell you one thing about him right there. The suits he was wearing back there, the same ones he owns today. Number 2, he will run until he will not take retirement.
Oh my
He
God.
will die until he passes in office.
Oh my
God, I hope that doesn't happen, but that's just how he is. He's very passionate about it. And the secretary's office has 17 divisions besides elections, but he knows. And when we got elected, he took all the 8 of us that ran this campaign that had a lot of other experience, like I worked for several elected officials in Congress and stuff. He took most of us, put us right in elections instead of the other divisions, because he knew that was the one that is the most important one, because it dealt with the Constitution and put you on CNN, Fox News, all that other stuff. You don't do it right. And we were just going through that period from paper ballots to electronic. It just started then. 96 he takes office, and it just started then.
Wow.
And that's.
And he saved us from the electronic voting machines.
Well, I mean, he got rid of some of the stuff that we had, like the punch card things. There were 29 of those, because they were corrupt city big time. And I didn't even have, he just said, they're out, they're gone, that's it. He got rid of them right away. And the towns had to buy different, they had punch cards. We had them in Drake, they were not good. Yeah.
Everyone's in this.
Yeah,
Bridgewater.
yep, not good. But he did a lot of good things. He's still doing good things, so. So until people throw him out, but then I think he'll turn around with a school committee or something. He just works. He just loves to work, you know. That is it.
It's something like, there's been a Bill Galvin in office for like 60 years or something like that, because his dad, it's like, I don't know, does he have a kid named Bill Galvin?
No, he became a rep at 75 in a special election, and I started in 77 when he just got his first. But if you go down to Canton in that area, there's like a Galvin family. There were representatives, there's Galvin School, Galvin Hospital, Galvin this, but it's not really a building.
It's like walk and no.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
low, yeah, exactly, yeah. But no, I don't think he's not going anywhere fast. Unless the big guy stays, takes him, that's all I can say. I don't know what else to say. But, you know. Okay, guys.
Any other questions for Greg online? Not seeing any. Okay. So our next meeting is going to be on September 24th at 5:30, probably at UCC Dracut, but we have been trying to get in touch with UCC Lowell just because that's a little closer, but the parking isn't as good, so I don't know. It's probably going to be here. We have not decided on a topic yet, so if you know someone who would be a great speaker for us, something that we should know more about, please contact us, and you can send that to contact@solidaritylowell.com. And I will turn it over to Chris to talk about reminder texts.
Actually, I think we're a pretty good group right now. I think we're pretty much covered with what we're doing. We have enough people So I think we're good, so I
Okay.
think I'm gonna skip that whole.
All right, I mean, if you wanna do reminder text, contact Chris. That's
Not
what's gonna help
everybody
people out.
who is here is doing reminder text.
Yeah.
Everybody who is here is doing reminder text.
Even online?
Yeah, John is doing them,
Okay.
so.
All right, well, you can always join us online. We are on Facebook. We have both a page and a group. The difference is on the page, you'll see public events and photos and more, but you'll miss out on discussion. However, if you join the group, which is a private group, you can participate in discussion and have access to all of our events, including those for members only. You can visit us online at solidaritylowell.com, and we are also on Instagram and Twitter, as it will always be known in my mind. Thank you so much for attending and have a great evening.